Hi and welcome to I'mAnEntrepreneur TV, the first online magazine show for entrepreneurs. My name is Baiju Solanki, and along with David McDonald of Silver Island TV are the founders of I'mAnEntrepreneur TV. The aim of this show is to be the show for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. More and more people are moving away from traditional employment and starting their own businesses. This show aims to bring you the most up-to-date news on how you can start, grow and expand your businesses. Now, what we aim to bring you over the next coming months is news on all things entrepreneurial, funding, new companies, startups, events, business shows, anything to do with entrepreneurship. Now, technology is never far away and there are new apps and software being released every day to help your business grow. Now, what we aim to do is bring you resident experts on hand to give you what's hot and what's not in the world of entrepreneurship. Now, there is so much out there. How do you know who to listen to? Well, we will look around the world for the best of the best and look for experts making the difference in the world of entrepreneurship today. Now, this show is about you, so we want to hear from you. So, as you see, there's the hashtag that we're using, hashtag EntTv. Use that to send in your comments, your questions, anything to do with the show. We'd love to hear from you and see what your thoughts are. You know, this is a brand new channel, a brand new show, and we want to make this a channel that you use as a resource for your businesses, whether you want to start a business or whether you're running an existing business and you want to become an entrepreneur in any field, this is the #1 resource for yourself. So we've got a packed show again today. We've got Josie coming up in a moment with some news around entrepreneurship. And today's expert interview is Nikki Farrell. Nikki is a social media expert, if you like. She specializes in Twitter, and she wrote a book called How to Tweet Yourself to Success. And she's going to talk about the 5 ways that you can use Twitter to actually find business and grow your business. So she's going to be later on. That's Nikki. We also have the second part of Steve Trister's talk that he did at my last Wannabe conference, extravaganza, all about communication. So we're going to hear from Steve as well. So that's great. Great to lots on happening on the show. So without further ado, let's hear Josie with some news around entrepreneurship. So hi Josie, how are you?
I'm really good, how are you?
Good, had a good week?
Yeah, really good, yeah, busy and just excited about Global Entrepreneurship Week, which is this week, so yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, this is one of the programs, you know, we're partners of the Global Entrepreneurship Week and this show's going out as a bit of part of the partnership. So in this week around entrepreneurship, what's in the news around SMEs and entrepreneurs?
Right, okay, interesting that you said about SMEs actually, because it was a story that I picked up on in The Independent earlier today. SMEs are not actually getting as much support as the actual start-up companies, which is a little bit disappointing. So although there are a lot of start-up companies that are launching, not so many SMEs.
So what, YouGov did that survey?
No, that was Barclays. That was Barclays Bank and Business Growth Foundation did the survey for that.
So, you know, we talk about startups a lot and helping startups, and it's probably easy to help startup, but what you're saying is once they're started up and they started running and trading, there's not as much support.
Yeah, that's right. And things that they're kind of failing on, management, they don't have the right skills to manage people. Okay. They don't have much confidence, international trading. And also finance as well, which is a problem for many companies. But yeah, SMEs are finding it really hard to move from that start-up phase onto the small, medium enterprise phase.
I work with a lot of startups. I work with a lot of people who have in the first 2 or 3 years of business, and it is that, you know, sometimes the enthusiasm gets you there started, but then to carry on is really hard. And that's part of the reason for this channel is giving people a resource that once you have started, where can you go? So this is like a signpost. So on one level, that's great news, but it's also an opportunity there for understanding. If Barclays did that survey and they speak to a lot of startups, then there's a great opportunity there to help SMEs. So you said that what kind of help they want in terms of how to manage people and finance?
Yeah, it's those kind of skills really, how to manage a team of staff, how to motivate their staff, and also finance, guidelines around how to find finance to grow their company, and also maybe some information about how to trade internationally as well. I think SMEs feel a little bit left out, because you know, you've got a lot of support for startups from government schemes and that kind of thing, but once you get past a certain earning threshold, or you've been going a few years, they feel a little bit kind of abandoned, which is a shame really.
It is a shame. It would be great to know, you know, if you guys feel that as well. You know, use the hashtag EntTv. Let us know, do you feel, if you're an SME, you're a small business, and you feel frustrated in terms of the lack of support that's available, then let us know, because the more comments and more ideas we get using that, you know, if you use the hashtag, we may be able to get someone from the government on, or maybe some sort of other people that involves with SMEs. And I work with a lot of SMEs, and that is that problem, trying to get to that. And after that initial enthusiasm, how do you start growing into another stage?
Exactly.
And that's part of this project where I'm launching this channel to give that information. Great. What do they say about how many SMEs have been formed or something? Was there some stats around that?
Yeah, there were. I think it was around about 3.9%. So,
in terms of what's starting up last year?
Yeah,
right.
Startups. No, that was the startup figure actually. I think it was 3.9%. So it's been 3.9% more startups than there were last year.
Oh, right. Okay.
But the SMEs was 0.9%. So
okay. In terms of how we're carrying on.
Sure.
Okay.
So not good. And it's a massive shame because the small medium enterprises actually accounted for 2/3 of all new jobs created last year.
Well, so it's like that 7-year itch. If you survive beyond 3 years, then you've got a massive chance of surviving, for a very long time. It's that first 4 years, and the big thing around SMEs, and a lot of people watching this will know, is cash flow. It's not necessarily whether you're making profit as such, but it's the cash flow. It's doing the service, doing the thing, and getting the money in and turning it around. And I'm not sure a lot of people who are outside running a business really understand the impact of that in terms of cash flow. It's not always just about clear profit. But yeah, that's great news. Anything else around that?
No, that was it really.
Fantastic.
Just about SMEs, and hopefully they'll get some more support in the future.
I know you sort of do some work with the college around. You've got some events around Global Entrepreneurship Week this week? Yeah,
we're really excited to have the opportunity to have some pop-up stalls in RBS.
Right.
There's a large Tesco's supermarket on the A127, and we're lucky enough to have some stalls there, and the students are going to be trading, selling some Christmas items and stocking fillers in the foyer of RBS.
For those who don't know, the A127 is a road in South in Essex.
That's a massive road,
yeah. So I know this is sort of going out globally, but if you're local to Essex, you'll know about that. But there's a lot of activities this week. So if you look on the Global Entrepreneurial website, #GEW, you'll see all the activities. You can search for your local town and see what's going on. But it's a fantastic week to get that awareness up.
Yeah, that's
so that's good. And I know I'm going to the business show in a couple of weeks' time. You're going as well?
Yes, that's right. Oh, brilliant.
Great.
Yeah,
and
I'll see you there.
We're going to do some filming there and get some sort of interviews with people. So that will be broadcast on this channel soon. So that's great.
Cool.
Well, thank you for today. Great.
Okay,
and we'll see you next time.
Brilliant.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. So thanks, Josie, for that. Some interesting news there around helping startups and SMEs. There's lots of help there apparently for startups, and for SMEs the perception is there's not much help, but I know there's a lot of help out there. So maybe that's something that we need to use this forum to communicate to the current business owners that what help is out there for SMEs. Right, so now we have our guest, expert guest interview, and we have Nikki Krul. Now, Nikki Krul is a social media consultant, speaker, and author, and she wrote a best-selling book, How to Twitter for Business Success. She is one of the UK's top social media trainers and be featured in The Guardian and The Daily Telegraph. She uses her corporate background in marketing to help companies integrate social media in their marketing strategies. And so without further ado, let's welcome Nikki. So hello Nikki, welcome.
Hello. Nice.
You well?
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me.
That's right. No, you're more than welcome. I was reading the book. We're going to talk about Twitter. We're reading the book over the last couple of weeks. It's been fascinating. So I'm going to make the presumption here that a lot of viewers here would use Twitter. Whether they use it effectively or not, I don't know, but I'm going to make the presumption they do. Why is Twitter so powerful?
Well, basically, unless you have a lot of money when you start up your business, the main thing you need to do is brand awareness. People need to know that you exist, because it doesn't matter how fabulous you are, what great products you offer, what great services you offer. If they don't know about you, they're not going to buy from you.
Okay.
And Twitter, I think, is probably the best marketing and PR tool you can use for your business if you've got on a shoestring budget. So if you don't want to spend tons and tons of money on advertising, you don't want to go and do leaf drops or any of those other traditional things, Twitter can get you a lot of traction.
And is that, because I would assume, again, if people use Twitter, they probably use Facebook or LinkedIn to varying degrees. Yeah. Is it better than Facebook and Twitter in that respect?
Well, Twitter's my first love.
Right, okay.
Out of the social media one.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
No. Well, Twitter, I learned to use Twitter. That's the first social media tool that I learned, or platform that I learned to use properly. And I got such good results so quickly. It made really, really big difference. I started getting interviews. I was getting asked for podcasts, got a radio interview within a month of using it properly. Okay. People were phoning me up to do business with me. And I don't think you could get that type of traction with Facebook. I think Facebook is good for building up relationships with people you already know. Twitter is brilliant for accessing people you don't know yet.
That's a great distinction, because a lot of people will throw all the social media platforms into one sort of big pool of activity. What you were saying is that if you've all got an existing relationship, Facebook's good, but Twitter is great to getting into those relationships that you might not be fantastic. So so early on, were you quite naive when you were using Twitter? You know, was it a question of you hit upon a methodology? What did you do?
Well, everybody kept on saying, because I was a master NLP practitioner, so it's similar to you, so I was doing life coaching, and I needed to market my business because I was naive, you know, I can help anybody with anything, you know, sort of like I'd fallen in love with NLP and, you know, sort of selling the merits rather than benefits to clients. People kept on saying, you have to be on Twitter, you must go on Twitter. And I went on in August 2009, and within 2 days I ran away. I was scared. I didn't understand. It was full of jargon, disjointed conversations, long links, etc. I did not get it. And it was really in the December when my business was quiet, and I actually did a course through Murray Smith. She was running a course at that stage on Twitter and Facebook. And I thought, okay, I'm really going to learn how to use it properly. And doors started opening immediately. Some of the relationships I made in the first few weeks of using Twitter particularly, are long-standing relationships now that have been developed into wonderful friendships, and that's all through Twitter. So I'm still in contact with most of those people, and that's quite a long time now.
to give people some sort of hope that, you know, if they're starting off, can you give us an idea of maybe some of the early things that you were sending out that resulted in people coming to you for interviews or podcasts? What kind of things were you sending out?
Well, I think I was actually sending quite... I was sending it over Christmas, and I was sending things like, is a glass of wine, some leftover cheese and quality street. So like a balanced diet.
I see.
So when I started, I didn't start with a focus in mind. I just started playing around, and I think people are quite often too scared to play around and test it out. It's always good if you know what your business is about and you've got a strong marketing hat on, and you actually sort of like can say succinctly what your business is. But a lot of it is just about building relationships with people and being yourself.
I see.
Obviously the best part of yourself, not your warts and all. Airing dirty laundry.
It's good to be authentic, though.
Yes.
It's good to be authentic, right? Now, I know later on we're going to talk about the 5 ways how you can use Twitter to get business. But what are some of the faux pas people make? What are some of the basic errors that people make when they might, someone's probably thinking now, I do use Twitter, but I want to listen to get more strategy. But others might be sort of, what are some of the faux pas they make?
The biggest mistake I see business people making is they think it's a broadcasting or free advertising platform. So they basically just spew out messages about themselves. It's dull and sales pitchy.
Right, okay.
And nobody likes to be sold to. People like to buy, but they don't want to be sold to, because you back away when you feel somebody's being pushy and selling to you. And if you're not giving somebody a reason to connect with you, you're not giving them value, because everybody's ultimately there for them. What's in it for them? So you need to give valuable content. You need to be a part of the community. You need to give advice and tips. You cannot give away all your trade secrets in 140 characters. If you can, you shouldn't be in business.
Right, I see.
Because nobody, if you can say all you have in 140 characters, but generally when you get good value to people, they assume that you know a lot more.
Okay, and that could work for any industry. Work for any industry at all. Okay. Any other mistakes, sort of basic mistakes people make around Twitter?
Well, quite often people get told by, I was going to say social media experts, what you do is you just follow people, and when they follow you back, you unfollow them, which is, it's not about building up the number of followers, it's about having quality connections. So if you're a local business, you want to actually concentrate on people who are local to you, and so do proper searches for those type of people.
So just out of interest, I don't know if that's one of your 5, it's not, but how do you find local people? Because Twitter, you know, it's like in the stratosphere, it's in the world. How can you find out who's local to you?
They've got a lovely search bar in there. There are quite a number of ways to find local people, by putting the place names nearby into Twitter search. You can find out lots of people who are talking about it or who've got that in their bio. But also if you know local people, you can see if they've used lists. Because quite often people will compile a list of local people to them.
I see. Okay.
And then you can follow those people.
I see. Because are we going to talk about lists later on when we talk about the
Well, no, but I'm happy to talk about whatever you want.
Because I know I did a blog about lists saying, it's very easy to just explain what a list is. So for people who don't know, what is a list in a Twitter context?
Okay, a list is a way of filtering your news feed or paying more attention to a group of people.
Right.
So you put them into a list. So it's one of those functions that you can, with the little cog.
The setting cog, yeah, that's right.
It says add to a list, and you can create a list as simply as add a list and put a name on it. Okay. And they can be private or public.
Right.
Okay. Private means nobody else can see it, but people can see who you put on a list, and it's a great way to separate people because as soon as you're following probably more than 60 people, you're going to lose the will to live, feel totally frustrated that you can't read everything.
Is that because your general home feed's going to be
your
just
home
full of their
feed's going to be
tweets?
too busy. Yeah.
So there might be like 4 or 5 that you really want to not miss out on, and so you would create a list to put those 4 or 5 in.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So you can concentrate. So if there's particular companies you want to approach, you can actually put all those people that you can find that work for that company in a list.
Okay.
Or if there's people who give you great news about your industry, you can put them in a list as a source of information.
Okay, great. Yeah. And also there's another part where you're also put into lists. So isn't there where it says you're a member of, and you can see what other people. And that I wrote a blog. It shows you how other people see you.
Yes.
I do a lot of social media as such, but I was fascinated about the number of lists I'm on other people's social media lists.
Yeah.
So people view me in a different way that I am. So that might be a good exercise for people to do.
Yeah, it's quite interesting how they put you.
Yeah.
Because the list name is public, I would never suggest you say people to avoid.
Yeah, that's right.
Or something like that when you create your own list. But ultimately, if you put on a list like of social media trainers, you can then find other social media trainers by using that person's list.
Right.
And you can subscribe to that list without necessarily following all those people as well.
I see. So you can have something in the list that you don't have to follow. Oh, okay, you can see all their tweets coming through.
It comes really usefully when you're using things like Hootsuite or TweetDeck, because you can put them in columns so you can follow.
Yeah, you can follow the list. Yeah. What about Twitter etiquette? Is there an etiquette to Twitter? You say about the follow and don't follow thing, but is there general etiquette that if you follow those, you're going to be more successful?
Well, yes, I was going to say, the first thing is to remember you're publishing and it's public.
Right.
So whatever you put out there, you should never do anything that you wouldn't want to appear in a newsline as a headline in a newspaper, that you wouldn't want to appear in court because people can get sued for what you put in there, or you wouldn't want your mother to read, or in my case, my children to read, although I embarrass them anyway. So it's part of my definition as a parent.
Are they going to be watching tonight? Are they going to be watching tonight this episode? Yeah, okay.
So so it's being mindful of what you say, but if you're positive and giving useful information, if you're being nice, nobody's going to sue you. And in fact, I think people forget it's like having a conversation with people. Okay, yes, you're restricted by 140 characters, or less. Yeah. So you've got a short time to say it, but you can actually build up quite strong relationships with people. So don't do things that you wouldn't do face to face with people. Okay. Although it's all right to barge into conversations and talk to people because that's what people expect.
In Twitterland?
In Twitterland.
Right.
Okay, so it's like going to a party. If you went to a party and all you did was watch from the side, you would end up being very frustrated.
Right.
And also if you went to a party and saw a group of people talking, you wouldn't sort of walk up to people with your pamphlet and read out verbally what you're all about. No. You would say hello, you'd find out what's happening with them.
So you'd make conversation.
Yeah, you'd make conversation. Okay. And social niceties do exist on Twitter.
Right.
Yeah.
One question I get often asked, if someone's either they own a company or maybe representing, do their Twitter name, should it be their personal name? Should it be a company name? Should it be a combination of both? What's right or wrong? Or is there right or wrong?
There's no right and wrong. You can change it. I'm glad I went for my own name, and I would say if your name is available, grab it. Right. Okay, because when I started, I was doing NLP life coaching, whereas now I'm doing social media, yet my name stayed the same. So I've been able to switch that account to having a different focus. So my bio has changed from where it was when I started out.
2 years ago. Yeah.
So your name, people know your name, but you can use your name in one and your company business in another.
Okay. So it's okay to have several Twitter accounts?
It depends. You see, people go, oh, you should have different Twitter accounts for different things. If they're very different, then possibly. But I think for most business people, people buy from people.
Yeah.
Okay. And by being yourself, it means that you can show the softer side, the human side of yourself, as well as you as a business person. So you can put in your bio about your business, but I'd say you as a person is far more powerful. Nobody really wants to follow a logo.
So just on that, so should your avatar be your face? Should be your logo? Even if you represent the company?
Yes.
Right, I see.
Unless you've got a number of people who represent the company.
Right,
you know, so like obviously it depends on the size of the company.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're starting out, yes, it should be your face. And the reason for that is people follow eyes.
Yeah.
And people look at faces far more. It's the thing that our eyes are drawn in. Lots of research has shown if there's a person's face on a page, that's what we get drawn to.
To the eyes as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so look into my eyes.
So you really, if you're putting your eyes, you want to actually be facing the text that your
that's
tweet.
A little bit subtle in terms of the face is looking down to that. Okay, that's great. Good. Fascinating. What about your bio? How important is the bio in your Twitter profile?
It's absolutely essential that you get your keywords in there.
Right.
It's all very well saying you like cups of coffee and glasses of wine or whatever.
Yeah.
For me, I tend to keep it to business related because your bio is searchable.
Okay.
So when Google's looking for those keywords, it searches on your bio. If somebody's looking for you, they might search for exactly what you do. So nobody's going to search for coffee addict or I drink 10 bottles of wine before I go to sleep, or chocolate, or I've seen people saying adequate lover.
Only adequate. Should be a soup. Right, okay.
I know. So I would just go for say what it does on the tin. But remember, use the language that your customer would use rather than your industry jargon.
So in terms of consistency, should your Twitter profile be similar to your LinkedIn profile, to your Pinterest and all the others?
Yeah, I would keep them fairly similar. And it's like being focused on your keywords that you want to be found for.
Right.
It's like being in a lift. The sort of like, what's it, the elevator pitch.
Yeah.
You only have a short time to get your message across, and on social media you've got between 120 and 160 characters to get your message across. People, when they decide to follow you, they will look at your bio.
Okay.
And if they don't like what they see, or you're too salesy in your bio, they won't follow you.
Right, okay. So this goes back to, if you have good conversations, people might think, do I have to talk about business now? If you have conversation about an event that's going on or something of a similar interest, they're going to look at you. They're going, who is this person? And then that will sort of make them want to follow you or not.
A good example of this is a friend of mine, Gary Gorman. He had a chatter about football. So he used to, I don't know who he supported, they used to have a banter on a Saturday or Sunday if the teams were playing, etc. So a bit of banter going on. Never thought anything of it until he got approached by the HR director of the company to do some sales training, and the person worked for a major retailer.
Wow.
And because he had a good relationship with that person, they'd gone onto his website and recommended him as a trainer.
Wow, and a good way to start conversation is to do search tags, which we're going to talk about in the second part of the interview. That's fascinating. Thank you very much, Nikki. So hopefully some sort of general tips there, some no-nos, some good things to do around Twitter and etiquette. So Nikki's going to be back later, and we're going to be talking about the 5 ways that any business can get business through Twitter. So thank you very much, Nikki, for now.
Okay.
Cheers. So thanks, Nikki, for that. That was great insights there in terms of what to do and what not to do on Twitter. And we're going to have Nikki back later on, and she's going to talk about the 5 ways that you can actually use Twitter to generate business from that. So that'd be great. So now we've got the second part of Steve Trister's interview. If you recall from last week, Steve Trister spoke at the first Wanna Be an Entrepreneur extravaganza last April, and he talked about communication, how to communicate and how you can make people feel inspired in your communication. Last week he talked about the way you sort of project your voice and the way you communicate. And this is the second part of his interview, how to communicate at the last Wanna Be extravaganza.
Better than I used to. But don't let that voice get in the way, because that is the ego. And what I say is move from your ego, move over here to your we-go. We-go. In any communication, you and me, we go together. And what that does is, as a communicator, now, how many people, the thought of standing up here talking to you, the thought of you get scared, and you don't want to do that. No one? Everyone wants to be up here? No? Anyone? Does that scare you guys? Yeah, a little. Why does it scare you? It just does? Are you pitching later on? What's your name? Say it again? I'm going to ask you a question, but you can say no. It's totally cool. Would you come up on stage now and just work with me a little bit? Not at all. But it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. It's cool to say no. But why is that? What is it? Is it fear? Yeah. But you're pitching later on. If I could give you one thing that could up your game for when you pitch later on, would you think, stuff how I'm feeling, just come up here anyway? If it could improve your presentation. Give him a round of applause. Have we got a mic, please? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Listen, I'm with you here right now. You feeling nervous? Yeah, I'm shit myself too. So, can we have a mic, please? Are you really nervous? Yeah, me too. You're not shaking as much as me. Okay. Right, so come and stand here. So I'm going to aim, in the next 2 or 3 minutes, to give you some tools that are going to up how you communicate and the impact you have on the audience. Because I don't believe this is about you, I believe this is about the audience. And what is it you're going to be pitching about? And just hold the mic really close to your mouth.
It's a manufacturing company.
Okay.
That manufactures new inventions and innovations.
Very cool. So, what I want you to do is just take 30 seconds. I'm going to stand right here. I ain't going away, all right? You're not on your own. So I just want you to tell the audience, just do a pitch. It's like a dry run, a dress rehearsal. Just to tell the audience a little bit about what the pitch is. So just hold the mic here. It's okay. Listen, this is a really supportive audience. Here's another thing. Whenever you stand up here, your audience always wants you to succeed. For a number of reasons. They do, because one yeah, give them, yeah, okay, there we go. That's all you need to know, okay? That's all you need to know. So they always want you to succeed. One, because they're lovely, and also because they don't want to feel awkward as well. Okay, so there's two things as well. So right now, just do your little pitch for 30 seconds. I won't let you go on for too long, and then I'm going to come back and work with you. And all I want you to do is just go for it when we work together. You never have to put it into practice ever again, but just for that couple of minutes, just trust me. All right? Okay, just do your thing to the audience.
Okay. JTB Inventions and Interventions is...
No, it doesn't matter. Just talk. Just have a conversation. No worries.
JTB Inventions and Innovations is about creating new products. And I've come up with 113 ideas that will save energy, including electrical products that do not need recharging, external power sources, or even refueling, including mobile phones, TVs, and electric cars, and even a jetpack as well.
Pause. Give a round of applause. No, we're not done yet. Okay. Good. So here's the thing about, because this is, would you say being up here is out of your comfort zone? Yeah. So here's the thing about comfort zones. The minute you step outside your comfort zone, you create a new comfort zone. So really, you're always comfortable. It's interesting, that one, right? So right now, here's what I want you to do. Next time, I want you to, okay, forget your nerves. Just put that to one side again. Move from up here and focus on delivering out there. Now, I would suggest that I can hear the content of what you're saying, and if I take that out and I don't look at you and I kind of go away and I think about 150 ideas, all this, that's bloody amazing. But what I want from all of you is just some passion. Just more energy, more internal energy, and I want you to taste the words, I want you to live the words, I want you to think, I want you to imagine in your head, once all those inventions are made, look ahead 50 years, think about the impact you're going to make, connect with that passion, and just give it to us, share some more with us. So up your energy and share it out with us. Okay? So just take your time. Does it make sense what I've said? Yeah? So I just want you to feel it more than you have done. Yeah? And don't worry about stumbling. Who gives a shit? You're human, right? We all stumble here and there, so it's not a problem. But just share it out, share it with us. More passion, give it to us.
JTB Inventions and Innovations is about creating new products and everything. I've designed 113 ideas, including all of the stuff that runs on electricity that don't need external power sources.
Okay, good. Pause. Give a round of applause. Okay, good. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Audience, was that a 1% improvement in the first time? Okay, here's it. Don't listen to me. Listen to your audience. That was a 1% improvement. Now, imagine if you improved your communication skills by 1% every day for the next month. 30% improvement. It's little by little, just little wins. It doesn't have to be huge wins. Now, next time, give me even more passion. All right? Just generally. Give me even more passion. Go for it. Even if you feel like you're going over, trust me, you won't be. All right? Last time, share with the audience. 3, 2, 1, go.
JTB Inventions and Innovations is a a manufacturing company that will bring new products to market.
Keep going, it's all right.
Including electrical products that do not need external power sources, including cars that don't need refueling, that don't run on hybrid power, or...
Give a round of applause. Yes, thank you. Oh, you've done great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Brilliant. That takes a lot of guts. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. I have an online training product on presenting, which I'd love to give you free access to, because that was really brave.
Right, welcome back, Nikki. You well?
Thank you. Yes, I'm good.
Fantastic, great. Now, before we move on to the 5 ways people can use Twitter to get business, a bit about your background. You touched on it before. You're not always done social media.
No.
Right.
My background is actually, I come from the corporate marketing background.
Right.
And then I stopped working to look after my kids, did all sorts of direct marketing, direct selling things, and then sort of trained as an NLP life coach, and I went into social media to improve that business, to get my marketing right, and then found myself getting drawn in.
Right.
And after a while, at one stage I was saying I'm a life coach, and I was doing a bit of social media.
Yeah.
I realised that people wanted my social media skills for using that, and people kept on coming to me for that.
So how long have you been just doing social media stuff?
For 4 years.
4 years, right, great. And so it's gone full circle, because before you were doing marketing in corporate, and this has come back to the marketing fund. Do you enjoy that in terms of the NLP, or was it just a question of different labour of love?
It's different things, but I think the NLP has definitely helped, because especially when you're training people, you see them holding their breath, and especially with Twitter. Yeah. Twitter has a lot of phobias, because I think people have a fear of being exposed, of doing the wrong thing. What happens if I put myself out there and people reject me? There's lots of phobias associated with Twitter.
Well, when you hear from the news as well, where people use Twitter, like footballers, for example, they tweet, because they sometimes think if you tweet someone else, no one else can see it. But obviously there's those sort of things. People don't realise, like you said earlier, some of the etiquette, if you wouldn't want your mother to hear it, then don't tweet about it.
Yeah,
something
exactly.
Great.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so we're going to move on now to the 5 ways that we can use Twitter to get business. And these are practical tips, so hopefully once you hear this tip, tomorrow morning you can go back into your Hootsuite and your Twitter profile and start doing this. So what's number one? Number one way to get business?
It's listening. And the reason I've said listening is because listening is a skill that most people seem to lack. Okay. We're so busy talking and we forget to ask and hear what other people are saying. People are talking on Twitter all the time and asking people for your exact service or your exact product that you got. Okay. But you're never going to hear that until you listen to what's happening.
So how do you listen on Twitter? What does someone do tomorrow morning that if you saw them doing that, they're listening?
Okay. Well, it's the first thing is to listen out for people mentioning your name, because some companies, when you mention their name on Twitter, they totally ignore it. Okay. So you should be looking out, at least following your stream for your name, even if you're not on Twitter yet. And so certainly replying to people who are talking to you, but also use things like mention. There's a little tool called mention, which will pick up people talking about you on social media. Okay. So that's really good. It's called mention.net, I think it is. Right. And it will email you when people are talking about you. So if people mention you in a blog or YouTube video, so it goes beyond Twitter. Okay. But I think the biggest story I've got is about, it was in 2009, in fact, and somebody put out a little message saying, in need of a new telephone system, Avaya or ShoreTel, and Avaya were listening in to anybody mentioning the word Avaya. And within a few minutes, they got back to them and said, we've got trained engineers who can help you make the best decision, objective decision. Within, I think it's about 13 days later, they signed a $250,000 contract. Wow. Okay. And that's all from just listening in. Okay. So the person who tweeted that wasn't actually expecting Avaya to come back to them. As soon as they did, they probably had the sales. So
let's use a practical example. Say, I use accountant because accountants are notoriously, I'm sure the accountants not watching this aren't like that, notoriously quite oh, it doesn't work, it's anti. So if there was an accountant watching and they started using Twitter, what would they need to listen out for that potentially they could get business?
Okay.
Give what an example?
I would be using something like Hootsuite, or there's a lot of other things. There's something called Monitor with 2 R's that you can use like a little dashboard.
Okay.
So you can look out for keywords being used.
Right.
On Twitter itself, if you go into the advanced search, so if you put a keyword in on the left-hand side, if you're on twitter.com, there'll be an advanced section, and you can actually look for people asking a certain keyword phrase.
Okay.
Or asking a question.
So they could put like tax advice, or maybe or self-assessment.
Yeah.
And then people are tweeting about that. And then if say some accountants see a tweet, should they go and say, right, I offer this service? Should that be?
Don't go in too salesy. There's nothing worse than if you just having a rant about something. Somebody comes in with a sales pitch. But if you could say, look, if you've got any questions, please ask me.
Okay.
That's a nice way in, rather than going, I can sell you services.
Is there another subtle way maybe to favourite the tweet? So
you can favourite the tweet, but I would start talking to them. There's no point in, if they have a need and you can supply the need, I wouldn't go in with sales pitch, but I certainly would be saying, hello, let me know if you've got any questions. I can,
So would you reply straight away? Would there be any circumstance that may retweet it if there's someone that you don't know that would show that you're listening?
Yeah, but retweeting has no logic. Yeah, you need to talk to that person.
Okay, just reply and engage with them.
Start talking to them.
Right. And that's fine.
Don't beat about the bush.
Okay. Sometimes it's very simple. Sometimes try to overcomplicate these things.
If you're trying to build up a relationship with somebody, you might retweet some of the stuff, etc.
I see.
But if you actually know somebody's looking for a need and you can supply that need, don't beat around the bush. Just talk to them.
Great.
But don't go in with a sales pitch. That's all it matters.
So same as what you would do in the real life situation when you're pushing the flesh.
Yeah.
So listening by reading tweets and replying and have a conversation. Great.
Yeah.
Number 2. What's number 2 way of getting business through Twitter?
It's connecting with people. Okay.
Right.
Sometimes on LinkedIn, you can find the right person, but they won't necessarily connect with you unless you've done business with them in the past. So people tend to be a little bit more reserved because it's always business to business.
Yeah.
Whereas on Twitter, if you want to find somebody who works for a particular company, they're more likely to connect with you on Twitter, especially if you talk about what they're talking about.
Right, I see. I see. So how do you find the people to connect with?
Okay, by doing searches.
Okay, a search, go back to searching.
The search thing is a very, very useful tool.
Okay.
And I don't think many people use the search function within that. But you could also look on LinkedIn, do a search for those people all the people working for a particular company, if you want to get into a particular company, and seeing who has Twitter accounts and following those people on Twitter.
Right, okay. And when you connect to them, is there an etiquette in terms of how you connect? Like in LinkedIn, you should have known them or done business. What's the etiquette on Twitter?
Anybody can follow anybody.
Okay.
Nobody has to follow you back, but you literally can follow anybody you like.
Right, okay. So the simple as that, the way to get business is to start connecting with people.
Yeah.
And then would you initiate conversations straight away?
Yes, if you want to talk to them, the first thing you could do something like retweet, saying I'm listening, I'm paying attention, and I think what you're saying is valuable, because that's what retweeting in effect is. It's potentially building up a relationship with somebody, but you should never retweet stuff that you don't actually believe in or don't think is any good.
Yeah.
But most people have things in their bio that you can pick up, or if you visit their website or their blog, you can actually see some information. So just talk about what they're talking about.
Okay.
If they're having a conversation with somebody else, join the conversation about what they're talking about.
Because that's the one thing about Twitter etiquette, you can join someone's conversation.
Yes, exactly.
Would you look at maybe the last 4 or 5 tweets?
Yes.
If there's something relevant, you reply to that and start a conversation?
Yeah.
Right, okay, that's okay to do.
We're all egotists.
Yeah.
So if you talk about, if you say something nice about me, I'm going to be nice back to you.
Okay.
So
what if they don't reply? Do you keep on thinking, what if they don't reply?
Not everybody's chatty, and quite often people will just spew out, so they have Twitter on automated.
Right.
But, you can't take that personally, and don't take it as a form of rejection. There are plenty of other people.
So marketing PR is really powerful in that respect, but used in the right way. Just on that, how many tweets should you be sending out a day? Is there an optimum number?
I try not to tweet too many, let's call them broadcast tweets, so tweets that are going out to everybody, because I have a lot of new people who've just started Twitter. So if I were to tweet every hour, people would unfollow me because the newsfeed would be filled up with my stuff.
Right.
Whereas I don't limit myself in terms of having conversations with people. So starting a tweet with the @ somebody's name.
So although everybody can see that,
It can be seen, but it's not as visible.
Right.
So you won't, unless you're following both of those people, you won't see those conversations on your news feed.
Right, I see.
Okay,
I see.
so it's less visible if you're actually having a conversation with somebody.
Right, I see.
It can be found, obviously, it's public.
Yeah.
But so I will do that. But so I'd be mindful, and if you're going to be tweeting with a link, you shouldn't do at least more than one tweet with a link in an hour.
Right, okay.
But I think quite often people get overwhelmed and people say, oh, you have to do 15 tweets a day, etc. There's no right or wrong answer. I think it's important to, if you're on Twitter, to have a presence on Twitter and at least set yourself a target of doing 1 tweet a day. It might sound very little, but that's where I started. Right. I promised myself I'd do a tweet a day.
Okay. And what's your view in terms of whether you automate any side of tweets? What's your view? Is there a balance? Should you use it at all, not at all?
There is a balance, and I think there's a right to schedule. I don't like automated replies.
Okay.
I hate them with a passion. Okay. I hate automated DMs. I could rant on for hours about it. I really, because what's the value in an automated response? Like, I've received your email. That's the equivalent. Do you get excited? Does it make
you don't feel personal, do you?
No, exactly. No, it has no value.
Okay.
And I've got over 11,000 followers without thanking any of them for following me.
Right, okay. So it's okay to schedule tweets, but not automated tweets.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And obviously, if you're a business, you're going to be busy with your business stuff. So it's useful to put out messages. So I tend to put out for my courses, I'll have a tweet going out every day, because then it means I can actually engage with people and be
So just on that, if you're running a course or a workshop, what would the tweet read? Would it say, I've got a workshop this date, click here to book? Would it be as overt as that?
It can be, but you almost earn the right to promote yourself.
Okay.
So if you're giving out useful, helpful information, you're engaging with people, giving good value in your tweets, and you're part of the community and interacting with people and supporting other people, then you earn the right to blow your own trumpet.
Right, okay.
But if it's only about you, that's not going to work for you at all.
I see.
Okay, so it can be that you've got, a LinkedIn course, but I tend to ask questions.
I see.
So I like for my Twitter course, I used to sort of, do you have a Twitter phobia?
Right, okay. So I've heard somewhere that, say you would send every 5 tweets, one could be a promotional type tweet, the other 4 should be engaging in conversation. Is that about the right ratio?
Yeah, it depends on the type of tweets you're doing, or what. I don't think there's any set rule about it, but it's supposed to be 1 in 5.
Right. Okay.
To promoting yourself, you're on business on Twitter to promote your business.
Okay, good. So number 1 is listening. Number 2 is connecting. Number 3 is marketing PR. What's the number 4 in terms of getting business from Twitter?
It's online presence, improving your online presence.
Right.
Because if people can't find you,
yeah.
It's almost as though you don't exist.
Okay. So how do you improve one's online presence on Twitter?
Well, it's being seen and increasing your brand awareness. And Twitter, because you can search on the bio, people can find you that way.
Okay.
By tweeting a lot, you can be found. And I often get recommendations from other people who I've never actually had a conversation with, recommending me to those people. So people become aware of it. So even if they're not responding, it's not to say that they haven't read what you've said.
Okay. So how much time should someone spend daily in order to get their online presence to the point whereby they are starting to get the kind of responses in business from where they want to get from?
Now, this may surprise you.
Go on.
I think you need at least 15 minutes.
15 minutes,
15 minutes a day.
Okay, so that's not so much.
Exactly, because if you're strategic about what you're doing, and you can fit those 15 minutes in maybe 5 minutes in the morning, checking to see if anybody's responded to you, maybe at lunchtime, maybe in the evening, you tweet again, etc. It doesn't have to take up that long.
Okay.
There's no point. You don't get extra points for spending the whole day on Twitter. Okay, you're there to promote your business.
Right.
You need to actually sort of be conscious of what you're doing, and your time is important. And I think people don't value their time. So
what would you recommend people do? Say tomorrow, people say, okay, by the time I'm going to spend on Twitter tomorrow is going to be strategic.
Yeah.
What would you recommend someone tomorrow? It's right, they get 15 minutes. Right, I'm going to spend. What would you recommend them do in that 15 minutes?
Okay, if you've got 15 minutes, I would be tweeting something of value to your potential listeners that is online with your business strategy. Okay. Yeah. If you've got a blog, I mean, it's brilliant if you've got a blog, but lots of people starting out don't.
Yeah.
But if you can have a blog, you're driving traffic back to your website, which potentially means they can find you and find out about your services. Yeah. But you should have your website and all your bio information well, in your bio.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you don't have a website, use your LinkedIn profile as a website.
So you use that above maybe a Facebook profile or a Google Plus profile. LinkedIn profile is the one. Okay.
Because that's seen as a sort of business thing.
See.
So I'd say LinkedIn is your best bet, and it's got a good reputation. So for doing that.
Okay.
And I can't remember what I was saying, but So, but okay, if you 15 minutes.
Presence,
so you want to tweet at least once a day. You want to also find 5 people to follow who potential customers.
Each day.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And I think if you do it 5, it's a manageable amount.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So you can do a search by a place name or by a term, and just find 5 people.
Okay.
Use somebody's lists and find 5 people.
And what about if they don't follow you? Do you still follow them, or how do you do that?
They're more likely to follow you if you not only follow them, because lots of people will follow back, but if you've had a conversation with them.
I see.
So if you can find something to say, it's less than 140 characters. It's 1 sentence.
Yeah.
Okay. You can find something to say about somebody.
Yeah.
So maybe you've read the blog.
Or look to their previous tweets.
Look at previous tweets. Yeah,
what they've been doing. Great. Okay. Right. Great. So that's 4 ways. What's the final way from this in this context in terms of finding business for Twitter?
About building relationships.
Right.
Because people do business with people they know, like, and trust.
Right. Okay.
So quite often it's those long-term relationships that build over time, because you don't always have a need for somebody's service when you meet them. But if you continue that relationship with people, you will remember them and become top of mind. So it's like a little drip.
Yeah.
Without,
and this is where the list can be really powerful, because you don't have to, because with the list you can make sure that at least once a day you can see the people that you really want to connect with, what they're tweeting about, as opposed to being lost in the home feed. I think a list is a very underused thing. I don't know about your experience. People don't really realise the power of that. So building a relationship. What is there an etiquette around that as well? Is it the same as like real life?
I think you can tell when somebody's sucking up to you, because they're a little bit too persistent and too nice, and it's a little bit annoying. But generally, if people are nice and talk to you and engage and have a good conversation, they can stay top of mind. There's somebody I'm going to meet next week, and I've been tweeting with him. I've actually had a telephone conversation. I was going to say, it's one thing to tweet with people. You need to take it offline. Okay, you need to meet them face to face with coffee, or to have a call, telephone call. Take it to email. So don't keep everything on Twitter.
I often say that people say to me, what is the end goal? So the end goal for me in terms of any social media activity is meeting the person, in the flesh, face to face, because that's the ultimate engagement that you're going to get. Great. Just one final thing about hashtags. We haven't talked about hashtags much, but that's a really powerful thing that people underestimate. They just think, X Factor's on hashtag X Factor and just see what people are commenting. But from a business point of view, it can be really powerful.
It can be really powerful. It tends to get abused quite a lot. There shouldn't ever be a reason to put more than 2.
Right.
At a stretch 3 hashtags in there. But if you're filling up your tweets with hashtags, you I was going to say should be shot. You're not actually giving anybody good value.
Right.
So if you're going to an event, and I was going to say for business people, if you're going to a networking event, like you're going to the business
show next week, absolutely,
you will look at their hashtag, and you can start talking to people who are using that hashtag, because they will be there, and you can actually arrange to have coffee or ask them where their stand is, go and have those conversations. So when you get there, you've already formed a relationship, so you're not going cold to the person. It's just touch points.
Absolutely.
You want as many touch points as possible, and you can also look at everybody who's used that hashtag, because then they're either interested in business, they're probably setting up a business and that's why they're there, or they've got their own business and might have some services that would be good for you to put in touch.
Because you've got a common interest there anyway, so there's going to be a natural affinity. Fantastic, great. Look, there's some fantastic tips that hopefully you've enjoyed, and if you follow those tips there. But if you there's some Nikki's written this book, How to Twitter for Business Success, available on Amazon.
Yes.
Both as a hard copy as like this, and as a Kindle, and as a what else is there? I don't know what else is there. Kindle and a paperback. So get this book. What's your Twitter handle? It's your name, isn't it?
At Nikki Krill.
At Nikki Krill. So please tweet in using the hashtag ENTTV. So by using that hashtag, I'm getting all the conversations going. So any sort of tips or any questions or any sort of comments, please, Nikki. I'm sure Nikki will reply via Twitter and answer your questions. Fascinating. Thank you so much for coming today. Really good. Some great tips on Twitter. So I look forward to all your tweets tomorrow using the hashtag ENTTV, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. So thank you for that, Nikki. That was some really great insights there in terms of using Twitter. So whether you're a seasoned Twitter user, whether you're just starting out and wondering how to make it effective. So Nikki talked about the 5 ways you can use Twitter to start getting business online. So the first of all, listening, look at your Twitter feeds and seeing what people are saying and responding and engaging with them. Second one is connecting with the people that you really want to connect to and engage with them and start forming relationships. Use it as marketing PR. Yes, it's not a broadcasting tool, but earn the right to talk about your services by giving great advice, by giving great insights and great valuable content to your audience. The fourth thing was online presence. Make sure that you have a great online presence on Twitter. So, and it's consistent with the other areas that so when someone Googles you, they can see what you're talking about. So your profile in Twitter is really important. And the last thing she talked about is relationships, building relationships. So when you build relationships, you start forming trust. When you start forming trust, it's easier to do business. So that's great. That's from Nikki Frill. So that's really great insights there. So that's all for today's show. So what we've got coming up in the next few weeks, we're going to be attending a few shows. It's Global Entrepreneurship this week. So lots of events going on. So look at the website to see what other events are happening. We're a great supporter of that. So and part of this program is part of the events going on. As I say, we've got a number of events coming up. So hopefully we've got some great location reports coming up from some of the business shows. So look out for those. And we've got a new series of interviews called I Love Entrepreneurship. And we're asking not the obvious questions you might find to some of the entrepreneurs and people who are making waves in the business world at the moment. We're going to be talking to them and asking some very unusual questions that you might not find from other people. So that's I Love Entrepreneurship interview series coming up. So that's great for me. So that's all from today, Monday the 17th of November. Hope you have a great week, and all the success in the world, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.